Like many farmers across the United States in the early 1930s, farmers in Jackson County, Indiana dreamt of the day electricity would light up their homes and farms and bring the modern-day necessity to the countryside. Across rural America, people suffered through the Great Depression, but held on to a vision of flipping that switch, just like the city folks. Electricity would soon make farm work, chores, and home life much easier for rural families while dramatically improving their quality of life. Because the local investor-owned electric company, Public Service Indiana, could not justify the cost for extending electric lines to farmers over long distances, farmers had to find another option. Fortunately, a local farmer, E.H. Veslige, learned of a new program the federal government formed to help extend electric service into rural areas. This new program was the result of an executive order signed by President Franklin Delano Roosevelt on May 11, 1935, that established the Rural Electric Administration, or REA as it became known. A fund of $100 million was allocated for this new rural electrification effort. Mr. Veslige became the key local organizer in forming a rural electric cooperative. He was elected president of this new group on November 5, 1936. Shortly thereafter, the first official meeting was called to order on the 24th of November. Indiana State REMC manager, Mr. Biggs, informed the group that all of the REA money allotted for Indiana had already been spent through July 1939. This appeared to be a major setback. However, the REA wanted to experiment with a group willing to furnish its own labor to help build the electric lines. It just so happened that a huge number of native chestnut trees in Jackson County were dying of severe blight. The question arose, could these trees be used for poles? Mr. Veslige personally traveled to Washington, D.C. and presented the idea to the REA. They accepted, which led to the birth of the first self-help rural electric cooperative in the United States. With this good news in hand, the newly organized group proceeded to form a new rural electric cooperative for Jackson County. On May 4, 1937, the Articles of Incorporation of Jackson County Rural Electric Membership Corporation were filed with the Indiana Secretary of State. In the autumn of 1937, local farmers began harvesting, debarking, and treating the chestnut trees. On September 22, 1937, the cooperative was approved for its first loan from the REA in the amount of $100,000 for the purchase of wire, transformers, and other electric construction supplies. In all, nearly 16,000 chestnut poles were used to build new electric lines until pine poles became available in 1943. By February of 1938, almost 800 chestnut poles were ready for use. On March 3, 1938, the first pole was set. This pole remained in service until October 1, 1997, nearly 60 years. A portion of that pole is on display in the REMC's boardroom. As line construction continued to flourish, a contract with Public Service Indiana was negotiated for the purchase of electricity. On June 26, 1938, the switches were closed at the Valonia substation, and the REMC's first electric line was energized. Soon, adjoining counties petitioned to join this new rural electric cooperative. The board of directors agreed to extend service into parts of Washington, Scott, Jennings, Lawrence, and Brown counties. New line construction came to a screeching halt during World War II due to lack of available line construction materials. But soon after the war ended, construction resumed. As the baby boomer era evolved, so did cooperative growth. Not only was the cooperative providing electric service to farmers, but to new housing developments, small businesses, and manufacturing companies, sawmills, and new schools as well. Over the next 10 years, the cooperative grew rapidly, while members received line expansion updates at annual meetings. The annual meetings were first held in the Jackson County Courthouse and later moved to the Brownstown High School Gymnasium. As attendance grew, so did the need for space. In 1947, the annual meeting was moved to the Jackson County Fairgrounds. The annual meeting soon turned into an all-day affair. Many members brought picnic baskets and sat under huge shade trees to enjoy the festivities. The annual meeting was soon referred to as the REMC Picnic. Appliance exhibits, entertainment, and hand-dipped ice cream were featured, along with the official business meeting and election of the board of directors. Annual meetings are still held at the fairgrounds to this day, and the traditional hand-dipped ice cream continues to attract members. Jackson County REMC faced many challenges over the years, including the threat of electric power shortages in the 1970s. Later, in the 1990s and early 2000s, wholesale purchasing of electricity was rapidly changing, and this led the board of directors not to renew its contract with Synergy. The directors made the decision to join the Hoosier Energy Power Network and started purchasing power from them in July 2005. Today, Jackson County REMC has extended electric lines into parts of 10 counties and provides electric service to more than 20,000 members. Gone are the days of coal oil lanterns, wood cook stoves, and ice boxes. And gone are the days of members reading their own meters, 2-cent electricity, postcard billing, and all-day picnics. However, the rural electric purpose and principles are still the same as they were in the 1930s. It was this self-help attitude and determination that brought electricity to Jackson County, Indiana.